Well, welcome to the final of our four-part 4-point training series. That's gotten me every day. I'm Brianne Durham. I'm the director of Washington Main Street, and we are very happy to be offering these 30-minute interviews focused on best practices for the Main Street 4-point approach. The reason we are offering this right now and the reason they will be available as recordings for you to share with committee members later on is that we've heard from just a lot of folks recently that this is kind of your year for back to basics. You're really looking at kind of reconnecting with what has made the Main Street movement one that has really stood the test of time. Those dedicated volunteers, well-oiled organizations, and a focus on our guiding framework. And along those lines, I am going to start out today with a very brief overview of the Main Street approach. This is truly asset-based community development at its finest. The framework helps you leverage the things that make your community unique. It's entrepreneurs, it's local history, the built environment, and an engaged public to foster sustainable local economies and connected communities. Today, we are diving into promotions, and I am very grateful to Ellen Campson, Executive Director of the Mount Vernon Downtown Association, and Janie Dodge, owner of Pave Jewelry and Design and chairperson of the Promotions Committee, for joining us today. So the majority of this training will actually be hearing from them about what makes Mount Vernon's promotions team so strong. But first, a very, very brief primer on promotions. So we really like to think of this point as the one that super intentionally positions the district as the center of the community and the hub for economic activity. You are the cultivators of your community's brand. And so if we're to break promotions kind of into 3 buckets, starts with cultivating a positive image of your downtown. You really need to know your various audiences and help to tell the story of your district. It's also about special events, which I credit Ben Muldrow for calling these gifts to your community. I just love that. So this could be festivals, holiday promotions, things that are just drawing people downtown to help them create really special memories. And they should always be creative and very unique to your own heritage. And then lastly, promotions certainly includes those register ringers, those retail promotions that have that immediate impact on your small businesses in your district. We can think of them as both circulators, like a classic kind of art walk where you make multiple stops along the way, and promotions like First Fridays or Third Thursdays that really offer extended hours, which hopefully are also going to kind of create or shift habits with consumers thinking about downtown as a place that they can go for their social kind of energy, for evenings. And those are some of the things that I think Mount Vernon has done so very well. And I'm excited to turn it over to them at this point. So Ellen and Jamie, could you kind of start us off by sharing why promotions is so important to downtown Mount Vernon?
Well, promotions is what brings people downtown, and creating those experiences and traffic generators is what makes it feel like a community. Ellen, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd agree that promotions are really the most visible things that we do as an organization. And even though we employ the 4 points, I think in terms of the broader community, it's the promotions aspect of our work that garners the most attention and positive attention. And once we've captured that attention, it really helps us in our work in all other areas.
That's a really good point. It's connected to everything else you do as a Main Street program, because sometimes it's people's kind of reintroduction to their downtown district, especially for sort of emerging Main Street programs, one of which I ran at the start of my career. People would say, I haven't been downtown in 10 years, and I think they meant it. And so sometimes our promotions were a way to kind of reintroduce people to the district. So what is it that makes your promotions committee so strong? What are you most proud of?
We have a great group that works together very well. It's multi-generational. So we have people that can know how to reach their particular demographic. You know, we have millennials on up. So I think that really helps. We have someone in our promotions committee that is also in charge of marketing for their small business. And so it's nice that she can bring that background to the table. And it's on a volunteer basis. So, you know, that helps with the bottom line, of course. Also, there's several of us that are key committee members that have been there for a long time, been there with the committee, and we work really well together. And you know, when we're brainstorming, we've kind of grown those relationships where we can say, yeah, that's not really a great idea. You know, we're kind of beyond the get to know you phase, or you know, we don't have to be so polite. We can go, yeah, I don't really like that idea. You know, it's kind of nice to be a little bit more frank and not have to, you know, beat around the bush.
I would agree, although we, you know, we do have some newer members, but I think, yeah, there's a very comfortable, direct vibe. And we're, you know, we're all recognizing that we're rowing the boat in the same direction. And so I think it's, you know, it's just worked out really well that when we share ideas, no one ever feels, to my knowledge, no one ever feels really shot down. And what we realize is that many brains brought to bear just helps make things better, of course.
Yeah, that's definitely a theme. What you're saying, Janie, about kind of the diversity of the committee, both folks who have that long organizational memory, and then some people who are, you know, kind of pushing new ideas out there. That seeing that balance and that really healthy kind of work together culture has definitely been a theme in all four of these conversations so far. So maybe this question is specifically for Janie as committee chair. You know, how do you ensure input and buy-in from the other people who are involved with promotions?
I like to feel involved. And so also I personally need to work on delegating. But for me to feel involved in a committee, I need to be given a task. And I don't really feel at home in a committee or on a board until I've been given a task. So it's kind of twofold, because I get to work on my delegation skills personally, but also, you know, that kind of makes people feel more comfortable, I think, in being involved when they have a specific task and they can do it. They do it well and do it with pride, you know, like Janie gave me this job or Ellen gave me this job and I'm super excited to help and do it to the best of my ability. And that kind of grows from there.
Well, that's really, I mean, we could have a whole conversation about the importance of committee chairs too. So Janie, I love that you're somebody who wants to have tasks. You know, you want to be that active type of volunteer because that's so important for any of the 4-point committee kind of cultures, to have a chairperson who, you know, both wants to take things on for themselves, so it's not all on staff, but also who is working on delegating to other committee members so everybody can kind of feel that. So this is probably going to be one of the lengthier questions, because it's really opportunity to tell some stories about Mount Vernon's promotions committee. What are some of the work that you've done together that really comes to mind that really highlights the success of promotions in Mount Vernon?
Ellen, do you want to start?
Oh gosh, well, it's hard to think beyond this past year, which has been so challenging, of course. But, you know, I'll say that in the past year, we were able to redirect our energies very quickly to helping our businesses learning how to generate foot traffic in a more sustained way over time, as opposed to throwing an individual, time specific event where you were trying to get hundreds of people in place over the space of a few hours. I think we really did a great job of figuring out that we needed to offer opportunities or attractions downtown that would generate just a safe amount of foot traffic over extended periods of time. So most recently, during the month of April, which in our area is our Tulip Festival our Tulip Festival time, and we usually have a street fair that's, brings in up to 30 to 40,000 people over 3 days. Obviously, that couldn't happen either this year or last year, but this year we did a window contest. And we had 23 businesses participate. We offered cash prizes for the People's Choice Awards. So we engaged the public in both electronic and physical ballots, meaning that everybody had a QR code. So you could vote right from your phone, or if you weren't interested in that kind of technology, there were postcard-sized ballots everywhere and some drop boxes. And that landed over the course of the month, and having both the People's Choice Award and local artists as judges. There were basically three awards in each category. It was really fun. It got our businesses really motivated to put their best face forward for the visitors that really did come. People still did come to see the tulips because that is something you can do safely from your car, and it's drivable. And it also got the community and our visitors engaged. And so I think we knocked that one out of the park. We partnered over the holidays with a similar event with another nonprofit here locally. Our hospital foundation usually does a Festival of Trees, which is again an event that occurs in an indoor closed auction type location. And that happened over the course of 3 weeks in all of our business windows, 20 plus business windows. So that's an example of a group of people just getting super creative, super inventive, and making something happen that really generated the kind of traffic that we could manage and wanted. It was both of those efforts were very successful, but also honestly, I think just everybody felt happy. It was an antidote to the sort of gloom that we've all been under. So
we'll talk about a gift to your community. People really missing what they typically experience in Mount Vernon with the festival each spring, and giving them something that also really positions downtown as this place for memories and a place for just where the community kind of comes together, even when it's different than it normally would be.
And both events, the tree stroll as well as the window contest, were of course 100% free, 100% outside, and safe, and again an opportunity to get people downtown to see what's here. And we're really delighted that we have a pretty full street.
And very good. Well, Janie, I know you've kind of shared with me before about the over previous years, the impact of Ladies Night. Do you want to share a little bit more about why you think that's been such a hit for your promotions team?
Yeah. So Ladies Night has been something that's been going on for several years. I think 10 or 15. Ellen, maybe you know the exact amount.
I believe we've been doing it since 2010.
Okay. So something that's been going on longer than my time downtown. It was kind of starting to get a little bit stale and needed to be reworked. It's always been an event that is kind of the kickoff to the holiday season, and it's a very fun event. But we are starting to notice that turnout wasn't as high. So a few years ago, we added a wine walk with it as well, and that soared. The first year we added the wine walk piece to it, we sold out. We had it's kind of bittersweet. You have some people that are super excited. We're excited that we sold out, but at the same time, we sold out, and now we have people that are upset because they don't get to go. But that's cool. That means that things are happening downtown, and we can grow and learn from that. We also had added a wine store, which was the fundraiser piece for us. So it filled the stores and got those cash registers ringing. However, it also added some dollars to the nonprofit and to the accounts that way as well.
Yeah, that event went from being what I would call a fundraising event for our businesses to actually also being a little bit of a revenue generator for our organization.
Good.
So it was a double win. And it's important actually to me to say that the brain behind modifying that event was our outreach coordinator, Kathleen Peterson, who unfortunately is not able to join us today because she's traveling with her family. But she birthed that event or that addition to the event, and just knocked it out of the park. It was a huge gamble. We had to purchase individual liquor licenses for all of the locations. There was a lot of steep learning curve in terms of the bureaucracy and the work with the Liquor Control Board. Kathleen and I got our MAST cards, and yet it, we didn't quite expect it to be such a huge success in the very first year. And, now one of the most frequent questions we hear is, when is that coming back? Are we going to be able to do that this year? And so, yeah.
And we added an event. The wine walk was originally for ladies' night, but because it was so successful, we added a second event that kind of was more open to everybody, which was the summer sips, which usually takes place the last weekend in May. But that was also a successful event and brought so many new faces. I was so surprised. And again, that was with the help of Kathleen. She's like our superhero. So, and great marketing, and with posters and adding that social media piece has really helped our events as well. Not just ladies' night and summer sips, but I think all of our events really pushed us from not just doing posters in the windows that people may or may not see, but learning how to market our events so they're reaching all of the different demographics in our area.
Yeah, that can be ever changing, so it's really something you kind of got to keep your finger on the pulse of. But yeah, to use multiple marketing resources like that is good. I want to point out a few things I really like about your ladies' night. It's a great example of a retail promotion. It's getting people into the businesses. It's also a circulator. It's moving them around the district in the course of one night. But I think that it also is probably hitting that sort of goal of reprogramming or encouraging certain consumer behaviors. So Jamie, you mentioned just sort of offhand that it's a kickoff for the holiday season, but what a great thing to intentionally get people downtown for a very fun night that is also shopping focused at the beginning of the holiday season, in hopes of that being like a recurring thing that they do throughout the next month or two. Did you see, and did you kind of hear that from merchants, that it was achieved?
Yeah, I think so. It brings so many new faces. Maybe Jane Doe brings in 3 of her girlfriends from work that don't come downtown, or maybe they work in different areas, but they all come downtown. And so it's kind of that spiderweb effect that you bring all of your friends and it's a fun girls' night out. But who does most of the holiday shopping? Women. So, we're able to get them to start thinking about the holidays, and for me, like if it's not something, it might not be something that they pick up that night, but they'll definitely come back. Another piece that we also added right before Ladies' Night was a shopping guide. And that was for the holidays. And it was something that we started with COVID so that people could see what downtown had to offer. But then we've also done a spring and summer shopping guide that's out right now. And I use them as bag stuffers. So many people come in and I'm like, hey, did you know that El Sage has this? Or did you know that Harry and Carlson has this really great home decor thing? Or, you know, and so there's some crossover there as well. And so we're, again, building relationships with people and building that community piece.
I love that. I love that it's a tool that you as one of the merchants and others can use to cross promote, because that is such an attractive environment to be in, where you as a consumer, you know, where you realize that people, as a community member, you know, where you realize that people are kind of in it together. That's what we really want for our shopping districts. And I'm very aware that we are quickly running out of time here. Could chat about this with you two for a long time, but the last question is really just kind of thinking about who our audience live right now and then recorded will be. Some of them may be in this position of starting for the first time a promotions committee, maybe rebooting their promotions committee, just really wanting to strengthen it. So I'll turn this to Ellen first, just because you have, you know, worked with so many other Main Street communities in Washington State. You know, if they are in that position of sort of rebooting or starting, you know, where would you recommend that they begin? Because we know that there are some anomalies out there of first year events just, you know, hitting out of the park. But we also kind of have to temper our expectations and start small. So what do you say to that?
Well, I will say about a couple of things that really helped me as I started out here, and we were building our promotions committee and grew our calendar from 6 events to 20 in a normal year, was two things. One is to remember when you're starting an event, some rule of thumb that I think I heard at a Washington Festival and Events Association conference I went to in my early days, that said, give an event 3 years to really get itself established. Imagine that the first year you're just putting it on the ground, expect to lose money. Second year, hope to break even. Third year, hope to bump that a little bit. But if it's, you know, still a money loser after the third year, it's not the right event, or it's not the right time for that event. So you can stop, you know, spending good time after bad. Another thing that has really helped our organization is deciding at the very beginning of when we're conceiving of events, what is the purpose of that event? Is it a and I think of them as the 3 F's. You talked about circulators, I call it foot traffic generator. Same thing. Is it a fundraiser, foot traffic generator, or a fundraiser? And sometimes it's more than one thing, but usually each event will have a primary focus for us, and that helps us understand what our metrics are for success, and also for our board and our community to understand. And so it keeps expectations reasonable, and yeah, and mostly make sure that everything's fun. I think
yes, the 4th F.
Yes, exactly.
They should all be fun.
Yeah.
For you as volunteers too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Janie, what would you say? Janie, what would you say to kind of this question, especially toward maybe the committee members, the volunteers who are watching this? How would you encourage them to kind of really get engaged and make a difference in their promotions committees?
How to get engaged. You know, you get out what you put into it. So, you know, if you're, it takes a lot of hard work, but finding that good team, I think, is very helpful. One thing I wanted to add on, if you don't mind, to what Ellen said, was debriefing our events. That's something learn and grow, you know, when you're just starting out with those events. You know, take a minute, take an hour the week or so, or the couple days after the event, to sit down and really talk about like what worked well and what didn't work well, and how can we make this better. You know, oftentimes we're so tired after events and overwhelmed, and you're just ready to be like, oh, that was awesome, we're done. But that's kind of when you need to stop and do a little extra work to prepare for next year, to make it bigger and better. Because by the time that rolls around, the planning time comes and rolls around, you're going to forget everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good reminder for all of us, especially, you
Yeah.
know, we move on so quickly in Main Street. There's always something next that we have to tackle.
Mhm.
So very good advice to take a beat and really assess what we just did. Well, thank you both so much. Great talking with you about this. It's so cool to hear everything you have going in Mount Vernon and what a great team you have. So for everybody watching live, just know that these recordings will be made available quite soon. So if you have committee members on your promotions team, or if you're part of another Main Street committee, we have this set of 4 videos that will be at your disposal, thanks to the leadership of the local program directors and chairpersons who are part of this series. So thanks so much, Ellen and Janie, and for everybody who joined us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us.